Hey friends, today I am sharing with you my worst reads of 2019. Quick disclaimer, I know everybody hates disclaimers, but if you guys love these books, these are some of your favorite books, that's totally okay. This is just my personal preference and how my brain processed these books. So just so you know, if I'm like really hating on something, it's not that I think that you're dumb for reading it or for enjoying it or anything like that. Everybody is allowed to enjoy anything that they want. Heck, Bridge of Clay is my favorite book of all time, and like everybody hates that. Just so that you guys know, I'm not picking on anyone. I'm gonna get right into the books. The first one is a really unknown book, which you'll know if you've seen my year in review Goodreads stats video. This is the Illuminations by Andrew O'Hagan, and it's like such a forgettable book. It was such a blah thing. Like, I'm pretty sure this book would have high DNFs. Every tab in it is like a tab for like what the heck is going on. Like, it wasn't interesting. It's pitched as this story of this man who's ex-military, and for some reason he's trying to find out like his grandmother's past. And so it seems like this book that's going to be really like heartwarming and interesting and neat, but somehow it was just so random and nothing really clicked, and the characters were, nobody was likable. Nothing was likable about like anybody. These are all 1 and 2 star books in this pile, but I can't remember exactly where everything landed. I think this one was like a 2, but I think I was just not being ruthless with it because it was not good. Next on the pile is The Clockmakers Daughter, which, my Lanta, if anybody has ever heard me talk about this book, it's always in the most horrible way. I gave this book 1 star. I hated it. It was just so bad, and I feel bad saying that because Kate Morton is like super popular. Everyone loves her, and this is the only book that I've read by her, but from what I've heard, it's also like her weakest book. I don't know how many she's written, but this one in particular was the first experience I ever had, and it was so overdone and so over-explained and overwritten, and it just felt so forced. I just couldn't get into it, and then the more that I read, like, it was like the more things came up that were really annoying, like things that just really bothered me. Like, I remember, like, you guys know, I have ranted about this before, this book literally killed the word glean for me. She said it so many times, and it was just such an obscure word. Like, I feel like in fantasy, gleaning makes sense as like a word. But like, who says that they're just gonna peek over a computer screen and glean what they could find or something? I can't even remember how it was worded. I don't think it was like that bad. But like, she would glean things from a computer screen, or she would glean things from a pile of paper, or she would glean things from a cell phone. And I'm like, nobody goes like, I'm gonna glean some information off my phone. Nobody says that. They just don't. And so it really killed that word for me. Also, it's based along the Thames River, and it made it just seem really corny and cheesy, and I read this with my friend Ashley, and we were both just like, are you at this part yet? Is this as dumb to you as we think it is? Like, we really didn't like this book. That being said, I don't think that this is probably the best representation of Kate Morton, and I will definitely be trying more of her books in the future to see what the difference is between a more well-loved book versus like probably the weak link in the chain. But I really hated that book, and it had so much potential. Like, it sounded like it was gonna be so good. It was not. Next on the pile is The Cherry Harvest by Lucy Sana, which is like one of the most beautiful covers ever. I know it's simple, but this cover I think is absolutely stunning. Like, I love it. That is like what drew me to it. And then the thought that was put into the hardback, I know, again, kind of boring, but it's got gold edges, it's got like the two-tone brown. I love it. It looks so pretty. I was so excited to get this off Book Outlet. And then I read it, and it was bad. Like, I think I gave this 2 stars, and again, I wasn't as ruthless at the beginning of the year as I've been near the end. This is like a 1.5 star best. I thought it was going to be something else. Like, I thought it was going to be a forbidden love story between the daughter of this family and a German soldier working on the farm, and it turned into this like random rape, death, cheating thing. Like, it got dark and it got weird, but not in a good way. And I think the author has talent, and I think that's probably why I gave it 2 stars. It wasn't really badly written, but I just hated the story with such a passion. Like, I just, no. Next in the pile, I have An Anonymous Girl by Greer Hendricks and Sarah Pekkanen, another book that I just really didn't like. I know that this is a really well-loved book, so if you think that you want to read this, or this is like on your radar, you think you're gonna enjoy it, just skip ahead like 10 seconds, because I'm going to say what bothered me about it, okay? You've been warned. Skip ahead 10 seconds if you care. Alright, this book was just another cheating story, and I freaking hate cheating, and I wanted it to be so much more, like, morally twisted. Like, I don't know, for some reason I thought that they were just gonna be like, I don't know, a kidnapping, or like where they did choose their life or somebody else's. Like, I thought it was gonna be like high stakes, and it wasn't. And it ended up just being like a domestic thriller mystery. But it wasn't thrilling, and it wasn't mysterious, because as soon as I figured out who the psychiatrist was, it was so predictable, and I didn't like it. I always want to love thrillers. It's very rare that I find one that I do. Like, I always want to like them, and I feel like they're a good palate cleanser, but also I feel like throughout the book I'm going, that's so not how it would happen. Like, that's not logical. A person wouldn't do that. Like, I feel like I dissect them too much in my mind. And next I have Sherry Lapina's An Unwanted Guest. Again, I really didn't like this one. Like, 50 pages in, it was pretty cheesy. It feels like a really bad And Then There Were None Agatha Christie ripoff. And I feel bad because a lot of people, again, really love this book. Like, I mean, I think it has like a 3.8 average on Goodreads. It gets decent reviews. I think there's like 14 people I'm friends with on Goodreads who've also read this, and almost all of them gave it a 4 or a 5 star except for Liv. I think she was like the only other person on my like friends list who gave it a low rating. Actually, I don't even know if she rated it because she DNF'd it, but I gave this one 1 star. It was just like, it's not so much that it was predictable, but I just hated all the characters. I hated the entire, like, it just could have been condensed so much because we spent so much time just worrying about things that were like moot points when it came to the actual story. And then when the twist happened, it was so stupid. Like, I just thought it was so dumb. And the way that they like pinned it on the particular person, I'm being very careful not to be spoilery, but the way that they pinned what happened on a particular person seemed very far-fetched to me. And also something else happens that I just don't understand, why thrillers and stuff always have to end on this like morally gray note. Like, I don't know how to explain it without giving it away, but I just really didn't like this one. How many times can I say I really didn't like this one in a books that I hate video? I'm sure that anybody who's been watching my channel this year has been waiting for this one to pop up, and it is coming. It's coming. This is definitely my most hated book of the entire year. And there I said it. A Little Life. I have been trying not to mention this too much in the last few months because I really harped on it hard at the beginning of the year when I read it. I still feel the same way about this book as I did when I read it. And it's mostly just that I feel like this book is more harmful than good, and I really dislike it. I'm not gonna go into like super detail with this because anybody who has heard me talk about it already knows, but if you haven't heard me talk about it, I will put a card up above me. I did a book talk on this. It's like 25 minutes long, explaining all the reasons that I didn't enjoy this book. I felt like this book was really hopeless, but not in a way that had like a point. And I thought it was dangerous because I felt like it almost encouraged the behavior. Pretty much every trigger warning you could ever imagine is in this book. If you are someone who really, really needs trigger warnings before you read something, check out that video that I talked about up there, or go and look up all, because pretty much if it's a trigger, it's in this book. It's awful. This book didn't make me sad, it didn't make me cry, it mostly just made me feel extremely angry. And I felt extremely frustrated, and I didn't think the romance was good, not because it was like badly written, but because I thought it was really, really toxic. And I felt like the thing that happens in the end, like everything was just for that point. Like, I don't want to spoil anything because I know this is like the book darling of YouTube. but I hated it. The last book that I have on this pile is Gemina from the Illuminations files, and just to quickly say, like, the Illuminations files as a whole for me was a gigantic letdown, and I think I gave the first book 4 stars. I genuinely enjoyed the first one. I thought it was fun. I thought it was sweet. I loved Ezra and Katie. Like, I liked it. It was a good, like, guilty pleasure book. Not that anybody really has to feel guilty, but it was like one of those books I normally wouldn't have gone for that I liked. So I had high hopes for the next 2. This book was just complete garbage to me. I felt like the next 2 books were just rewrites of the first one, but worse. But this, I think, was the worst one of the 3. It has something in it that I didn't even realize I hated until it happened, and I don't want to spoil it for anybody, so if you want to know, ask down below. I will answer you, but I don't want to put it in the video because it's a huge plot spoiler. But the thing that happens in all 3 books, happens the worst in this one. I just didn't like it. I read all 3 books in 6 days, so that might be why I was comparing them so heavily from one to the next, because I just binged through them all, and why the story got really tired for me. But I only included this one in the video because I just thought this was the weakest one. I ended up giving them a 4-star, a 2-star, and a 3-star. To be honest, I think if I was rating them right now, like with how I feel about them post-reading, the first one would have been a 4-star still. I still had fun. I'm not going to deny that. Not for a second. But this one I would have given a 1-star, and that one I would have given a 2-star, Obsidio. But I was really, really sad that I didn't like this. I thought the format was neat. I thought the first one, like, I thought it was really fresh and neat, but then it just got tired, and the storyline got stale, and it just didn't feel very, like, high stakes to me, and I just didn't like it. And I feel so bad, because I wanted to love that book so much. Like, I thought that A Little Life was going to be 5 stars. I thought A Clockmaker's Daughter was going to be 5 stars. I thought the Illuminations were all going to be 5 stars. And so those were huge letdowns for me. Anyway, let me know in the comments, just like let her go, what was your worst book that you read this year? What books did you DNF? What books, like, couldn't you get through that you just absolutely hated, if there were any? If there weren't, rock on. I'm so happy for you that you didn't read a single book the whole year that you didn't like. That's awesome. While you're down there, don't forget to hit subscribe if you haven't already, and the bell so you don't miss future notifications. I do upload most Mondays and Thursdays, and I will talk to you guys all next time. Thank you so much for watching. Bye.